Welcome everybody to a quick Bitcoin update video. Please excuse my voice. I literally just woke up getting my first coffee in. Okay, so if you watched yesterday's video, you know we have a potential top in place over here where we can move our 3, 4, and 5 to create a absolute top to Bitcoin, and we're going to go into pretty significant correction below our current target of 87K. Now, as labeled, if we find fourth wave support, what I'm looking for here is a probably at least month-long triangle sideways or a flat, in which case we can get alt season. If this pulls down alts, those would be those Z waves from yesterday's video. Some may hold, some may not. So be very careful if you are in longs. Now, right now, the most bearish count I have, remember we have 5 waves down here, which can be a wave A or a wave 1 if the bull market has topped. Now, currently the most bearish setup I have here is a 1 and a 2. I relabeled this as I went down the 15-minute. I can get 5 waves down here. This plays better as a expanded flat based on the time frame of the correction and the fact I can get 5 waves down in here. The second one too was a little longer. It was the weekend, so I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt that that is a 1-2. So our most bearish scenario is 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, and we just bleed today for the rest of the week. Now, right now, our 1.618 extension of our first 1 and 2 is at 88,922. That's where we would get our third wave bounce here. And then we get our fourth and our fifth down to around 87K. But if these bleed significantly, my one concern is, let me go out to the 4 hour. My one concern is if we fall below this level, and we don't find support at 87,000, and we fall below 85,090, it's okay if we come down here and we make like a hard sell-off wick and then recover quickly. This would be the sort of thing we want to see, kind of like this area here. Like we don't spend a lot of time down there and we recover quickly in a 5-way move. That's okay, but if we spend any amount of time below this level, or like correcting sideways, that's a very bad sign. So if we get down here, depending what we do in that area is very important and should give us a bias on our next expected move. Now, talking about this yesterday, this is where we had a Y wave triangle to here as an A, B, C, D, E, and this would be our 5 waves complete. If we hold, this is my alternate count as a wave 1 with a expanded flat, and that's how we can get our 4 and 5 still. So be very careful on alts, as if we fall below this level and we don't recover, we have a lot of room to find support all the way down at these levels, right? Looking at 75-ish, even lower, 73, somewhere around there before we might get our significant bounce, because there's absolutely nothing to hold us up here. Okay, so and there's one thing to remember here, that we still have this CME gap from all the way back in November. It's between 70,930 and 80,670. This is our zone here where if we fall below and don't find support, I would expect to get filled. At least to that level, and come down and find support at these levels before we get a bounce. Now, what that would mean, this is just rough and dirty here, but you remember that's just where my low is. What that means is this is an absolute top of a top of the market, and we're going to come down to our previous fourth wave, which is around, we talked about this before, about 50K, where we'd come to. Or if we find support, I would start my count from here, as that's where we have 5 waves complete. Or we would find support between our regular wave 2s, which would be 50, 618, 786, around 70K. And what that would allow is a wave 1 and 2 within the fifth. This is where if we get extensions, this would be wave 1 and 2 within the fifth, which would allow pretty significant alt season, as well as very high prices for Bitcoin. So basically, are we starting our bear market, or are we in a wave 1 and a 2 to the upside? We won't know until we see the price action down at these levels. But I am short right now. Have been all week. Now there is one scenario here where we get a little bit delayed in the bearish scenario. This is the 618 you see in gray. As these are all 5-wave moves down, what can end up happening here is this becomes an ABC, ABC right into my zone, come back, ABC, and this creates a diagonal as either our wave 4 complete, and we can actually reverse from here. We just need to hit the 618 extension there at 90,000 to be considered complete. We don't necessarily have to come to the 1-to-1, and that would take us to around 90,000. But what I would look for if we got this pattern and we came down, first indication is break within that B wave of the fifth and how many waves I get out of this. Because your earliest indication to flip to a long would be 5 waves up after this diagonal with a 3-wave pullback. So you'd at least expect either a third wave to continue to the upside, or a C wave in an ABC correction, right? And this could be a 1 and a 2 to the downside. So this is why we need to watch the price action very closely. Now, we're not sure which one we're going to get, and there is one other option. There is still the bullish option, where this is a WXY, double zigzag, and we can come up and make a Y wave where this would be a WXY, in which case I would still expect downside after. All right, so that's a quick recap. This is the most bearish scenario. Alternate is the diagonal, where we have a chance to bottom. Otherwise, we just melt down from here in this most bearish scenario. All right, guys, that's it for Bitcoin. Be careful with your alts, and I'll see you in the Discord.